And I guess we're live. I tried to do the intro, but it wouldn't click it over. So hello, everybody. Welcome to the Be My Own Boss podcast, episode 12. And for those of you that have been following the past few weeks, I'll put it up here on the screen. Part 4 of 6 of a 6-part series that we are currently doing. Mike and I, called the Boston Massacre 2024. Part 4 of 6, Career Theft Ahead. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Steve. Thanks for the introduction. You're right
yeah,
on.
I was missing our intro there, so I don't know why I wasn't clicking over, but StreamYard issue, technical difficulty solved already. So
excellent.
Where are we so far? I know that for those of you that might have missed it, Mike and I put the first 3 parts together on the Be My Own Boss podcast on the Be My Own Boss YouTube podcast page, and put all 3 parts together so you guys can play a little catch up there if you had missed any of these. But now we move on to 4, and then obviously we come into the home stretch here. But this is a big one, I think, this Career Theft Ahead. And so, Mike, where do you want to start with this one?
Well, let's start with the subhead. The subhead was damage from all directions, and boy, that is really true. The battle is the battle is between our adversaries and what I'll call the triad, which is the independent contractors, the platforms, and the clients. They have been working together beautifully, and it's that which has created this whole gig economy. They work together. And the independent contractors are self-employers. It's important to remember at every moment they are their own boss. They want responsibility, for their income, their time, control of their career, family care. They want to own their work. The platforms are doing a actually magnificent job connecting, people who want something done with people who want to do it. And it's the best workforce innovation, but workplace innovation since the 1860s. So those don't come along very often. And third, you've got a massive amount of clients, both individuals and businesses. And as we can see, particularly in rideshare and food delivery, people want more and better services. All kinds of things you never imagined 10 years ago, you can now get delivered or undertaken or done. And the businesses want to do much better management. They want to improve with project management, and it's taking over all of business, major sectors first. So into that relatively happy, highly productive grouping, Massachusetts has plopped its ABC labor law. And this is something it's been 20 years in the making. And the other side got a bonanza 2 months ago when the Attorney General came down, penalized Uber and Lyft for, turning in the state's mind, calling them independent when they weren't. Well, we all know they are. So it's an imaginary crime that was committed. So what's happening is that this is having a giant slow motion splash all across the country. Everyone says, well, it's Massachusetts, and how many people is that? Well, in fact, we're the home of that legislation, and we know a lot about it here. It's the most destructive, the most devious, and the most harshly enforced I think law of any type in the nation. Nothing is more harshly enforced than this. And look at this fine as an example.
Mm-hmm.
So probably everybody here knows that the first thing this is going to do, this settlement, with all the fines that Uber and Lyft have to pay, and the benefits that the drivers and the apps are going to have to pay, the first thing that's going to happen is going to terrify clients across the country. Anyone who uses a Massachusetts independent contractor, including Uber and Lyft, are going to think, wow, this is a difficult law. It's completely ambiguous. I will bet in private that the Uber had no idea they were vulnerable to the extent that they were. I think they had talk about shock and awe and desperation. I think that was probably they first heard about this when they got a letter from the Attorney General saying, we're going to hit you for $700 million, come talk. So the clients go through fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And the first thing they do is they get terrified. And you don't have to be a lawyer. You can just look at this law as a business would. What's the first thing you see? Is like, oh my goodness, that's a fine. That fine is beyond belief. So they're afraid of it, and they try to go to the legislation to say, well, if I'm buying, medical specialists work for medical instrument design, for example, a big field in Massachusetts, am I vulnerable if I'm in Texas buying this? The answer is yes. So this going to have a big footprint, and then they're going to read it. It's 90 words long, and they're going to go, I have no way to assure that we're not violating it. There's not one thing I can do to be in compliance. As I think we joked one of the last sessions, this is like a bunch of speed limit signs that says slow, really slow, medium slow, and not too fast, but a little better. It's like, what speed is that?
Mm-hmm.
So clients are going to pull back. And when they pull back, the IC work is going to shrink. It has to be, because these are equals. Everything bought equals everything sold. And the work's going to shrink for the ICs themselves. Their costs are going to explode because they're going to have to try to find work where they are. If they're in an ABC regulated state, they're going to have to go, I can't sell to Massachusetts, so where am I going to get this? And I can tell you from personal experience, just selling regular consulting services before the apps were even invented, it's really expensive and time consuming to go find people who want what you can do. It's a huge country. It's 3,000 miles by 1,500 miles. And it's expensive to get around and tell them, yeah, buy it from Mike Ruby, like, holy smoke. And so the market for freelance is going to shrink. Market for driving, it's going to shrink. And that brings up the third part, is that you're going to see it, and you saw it in the Olympics. I want to talk to the audience about that. In the Olympics, the Uber advertised how many benefits it was bringing to the drivers who would be working with it. And I thought, regulatory capture. And they're bragging about this to the public and to maybe future drivers, and maybe a little feel good to clients. But in fact, they were captured. Uber's labor force in Massachusetts was captured by the state of Massachusetts, and indefinitely, forever. And so the apps in general the little ones will fail, especially in Massachusetts. The medium-sized ones will shrink or withdraw or do something different or find some wrinkle. And the big ones like Uber and Lyft, they're going to be heavily regulated, and it's going to creep up. Just like, there was likely some side deal. So we need you guys to promote benefits here online. And if they didn't actually tell them, Uber and Lyft are smart enough to figure it out. So,
I still gotta say that I'm not 100% sold. Uber and Lyft don't have another plan, another agenda here where they're not going to play ball. I'm still thinking that, especially with the way this AG is.
I couldn't agree with you more, but I don't know what it is other than driverless.
Well, if she allows that if she allows that ballot, whatever you guys call it in your state, I know that every state's a little different. Right. But if she allows that ballot question after all the other drama that they went through for years, that's not going to fly with Uber and Lyft because the deal was created on that not existing.
Yes, I know.
So therefore, why would they have a deal come January if she allows that? Because if she allows that, she even has to realize that's game on.
But it's not in the agreement.
But wouldn't the agreement just go out the window? Because they'll say, yeah, the agreement was you don't do this.
Well, that was the only thing that's stipulated in the agreement is that Uber and Lyft will drop their 5 ballot questions. So
right, but one of the terms for Uber and Lyft is no worker collective bargaining, or no, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. So therefore, if she allows that, she's actually saying, go ahead, let's bargain. Let's collectively bargain. No, that goes against everything you agreed with them.
Yeah. Well, but it's not in the agreement. So anyway, I will go back and look at that, and our audience is welcome to do the same.
I mean, I hear you, because the road it's going is not pretty, but I just have a feeling that Uber, like you were saying about Uber running those ads, they, like, even if that's not the direction they want the company to go, they always take advantage of those moments.
Right.
They always say, okay, well, then let's play that out. But I also feel like in the back of their head, they've got another game going. They're already running the next strategy of this lady's crazy.
Yep, I agree.
And
let me tell you, there's
they do all right to go, you know what? We just decided to not be here anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Then, tell Andrea,
Yeah, because Uber has a way of making that footprint. I mean, California knows it. I mean, last week, Prop 22 got solidified for good. We know that, I mean, that's finally over. 4 years of drama with that. But I mean, like, at the same time, when they threatened they would leave, the state believed them. I believed them. And they actually folded to that and said, okay, well, we can't have you leave. That'll disrupt transit. Well, I would think that also applies to Massachusetts. I don't know.
In a different way. There's a gritty kind of formerly down at the heels town on the Merrimack River in northeastern Massachusetts called Haverhill. And it's got enormous old mills from the 1800s, and many of them have been torn down. Many of them have been repurposed. Population is high. It's very dense, and the household incomes have been remade because of the driving apps. And the opportunity is there for people if they have a car and they want to work. The opportunity is there. They become delivery drivers and Uber drivers and do other kinds of service contract work. And the inside scuttlebutt is that this has had a huge improving effect. This being driving on the apps has had a big effect on those inner city household incomes. So that's going to go away specifically. Mm-hmm. And if you unionize it, the cost will go up. Anyway, that whole scenario. So another thing, another way you're going to see this, and you saw it partly with the advertising, it makes it possible and likely that government, the apps, the unions, and the media will collude to continue to exert power over Uber and Lyft, and to make it more and more difficult for individuals to work as independent contractors. And everybody's in on it, because the teachers' unions, very powerful in this state, they don't want independent contractors doing substitute teaching. They want unionized. They want them to get paid, no matter whether they're working or not, and that's just overhead, and it's more union memberships. Mm-hmm. So, look for the evidence of collusion, like that Olympic ad. And by the way, if anybody here wants to just do a little project on the quiet, we would love you to go over some of the Olympic tapes, particularly from the first night, the videos, and see if you can find and copy that Uber ad. We can make make that a point of discussion, just to show how this is working. I didn't see it myself. I got it from a very reliable source that it was there. So if you get a chance and can take a copy, we'd love to see it.
Was it regional though? Was that because I've been real spotty with my Olympic watching, but was it regional to Massachusetts or was that
we couldn't tell?
Okay.
We couldn't tell.
I mean, via YouTube and the internet, I'm sure we can find the commercial.
Right. So the next thing is that small business, of which we have 6 million in this country, are going to lose their problem-solving capability. Any small business will turn to an independent contractor to get themselves out of a jam, to find a solution, to improve a design, to handle a bottleneck. Or just any kind of emergency or difficulty. They'll get some expert to come in and solve it for them, and that's perfectly good, economically sound. Nothing wrong, but that'll slow their growth, and their choice of vendors much of it's going to disappear, because they need to be able to get at someone and how to reach them if they're in Louisiana and want someone in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're going to see a lot of harm to families. This is going to be very personal. People are going to see that I'm choosing between working and caring for my family member or my relative. And how can I do this if I have to spend all my time prospecting for work, for trying to find a second or a third job? I can't balance all those priorities. So
I'm also interested to see how they're going to balance the part-time workers versus the full-time workers.
Yes,
this becomes a whole nother nightmare problem that we've seen play out a few times. I mean, you can't have everything your way when 85% of the workers are part-time. And by part-time, I mean 17 hours or less a week.
Wow.
And then 65% of them are 7 hours or less a week. So, I mean, you've got 7 barely even registers on my gauge.
Right.
But if you got 65% of the gig economies working 7 hours or less on the gig apps, they're extreme. I don't even know if I'd call them part-time. Well, they're part-time.
But they do make a difference because
they do.
And they're earning money off it. And if you can make $25-$30 an hour for 6 hours a week, that's a big help. If you're already working, your spouse is already working. Big improvement.
I couldn't agree more. And those of us who have been in the gig economy know that, it's like being in the service industry. It is being in the service industry, and it ebbs and flows. So even though all the Fridays might be great, one Friday might suck, and you just kind of roll with that and go again for the next Friday. But this is going to take that drive away, because if you're doing things on active time and this, that, and the other, the companies don't want to pay that. So you might get onto a platform and say, I only work 7 hours on Friday. Well, even if it's a good or bad Friday, you have the advantage of being able to take or reject or this or that. Right. Now with these new bottoms and tops and the way that it's going to play out, you're not going to have that. So those extreme part-timers are not going to do this anymore.
Right.
That's my opinion. If I've done this long enough to know that if I had a W-2 and then I relied on a little extra income on Fridays that I picked myself, hand-picked, cherry picking the orders, whichever ones I want. But now that's going to be somewhat restricted because everybody's playing on a different game now. And so if you're going to work those same hours and make 2/3 of the money, I guarantee you those people quit.
I do too. Anything small gets squeezed out as you get more regulation and as costs go up. Either one, but this is both at the same time.
Right.
So it means it's a lot of harm. I think we're going to see startups decline. They have been declining steadily since 2002. They're the lifeblood of our future companies. But
yet the independent contractors keep growing. Like we're over 70 million now, or at least close to. I mean, I know that's
there are fewer small businesses. Look at.
I'm just saying workers, though. I'm talking about out of the 100 or the 200 or 178 million working people, there's 70 million of them at least participate in the
right
independent contractorship of some sorts.
Right.
So how does that stay up there too?
Well, that won't. Those people are coming out of all the small ones are coming out of the going to come out of the workforce if they themselves individually can't make it work. I mean,
So do you really think that they pivot over though and like fill these holes that they think that they're gonna and become all W-2s?
No, not a chance.
Right. So what?
First of all, anybody who comes from Uber now it's going to have a tag on his forehead. Basically, it says, "I used to make $32.50 an hour," and they can't see it, but the employer goes, "Oh man, this guy was with Uber, and he's not there anymore." And do I can't even come close to $32.50. I might see 25, but they're thinking, and they've got to be thinking, this guy's going to be unhappy with whatever I pay him at 31 and down. And so I think I'll go to the next guy, maybe get someone who's just starting out. You never know how they want to solve it, but they're going to find that $32.50 is not a help. It's a hindrance. So
it's not even a real number, you guys. I mean, again, let's keep make sure we pound it in there that this is active time. And those of us who work the apps know what that means. I mean, active time, 1 hour of active time could take you 3 hours. So it's like your $32.50 just became $10 or almost, not even $11 an hour.
Minus your fringes.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's really nothing. I mean, at that point, you're just, and who are you pulling the wool over their eyes? Because to me, the only people that are buying into this are the newbies, and they learn real quick.
Yes.
So I mean, you can't. I know everybody's always said that. Well, they can just onboard forever. They can't, because at some point they've run through the people willing to do this work.
Yes.
I know that everybody seems to think, well, those holes can be filled. Well, yeah, maybe under like employment models you can fill holes, but I don't think you can in this setting.
No one's shown it's going to be, it can be done. It wasn't done in California.
Right.
It hasn't been done in Massachusetts because we had a workaround, and this got around the Uber and Lyft agreement got around the workaround. And now here we are, strange new world. And they're guessing. The policy people are just guessing.
I mean, the $175 million that Uber had to pay, that's Uber, Instacart, DoorDash, Lyft, Grubhub, Uber Eats. They all together put in $208 million in California to fight Prop 22, and they're having to pay Massachusetts $170.
Yeah, for nothing.
Right, for like past things.
Right,
and you guys were wrongfully titling people. Well, okay, they're still going to be wrongfully titled, so here forward they won't be fined.
I don't know what they're going to do in the future, because
aren't they just continuing with the same? I mean, even though they've got this new strategy of $32.50 an active hour and this, that, and the other, aren't they still going to be able to still sue you and say, well,
if they give every driver the exact benefit menu that's in the agreement, then apparently they can, in the state's eyes, I'm saying apparently because I haven't seen anything about this, apparently then that won't be an infraction. There will be in compliance is the term they'll use. But the unions are actively looking to add more benefits to the menu. Now, what happens to the newest benefits? Like alternate Wednesdays. Everybody gets off. They can go down to City Hall. They'll make up something that everybody supposedly needs. And is that automatically opted in, or does Uber and Lyft have a lost the train of thought? Do they have an opt out on the new benefits not yet in the agreement, not yet written down in the summer agreement of 2024? Unknown, not addressed.
I mean, but it kind of is. I mean, look at New York City. I mean, New York City, there's no work left for anybody. People, I mean, there's always been question on how they're, it's tough. We got to hustle out here. Well, that's part of it. You got to hustle. But when they took all that away, now even the food space, the rideshare space, they've got everybody scheduling blocks, and now there's no blocks to go around. So what happens to these part-timers who need 1 day a week? They're not even going to be able to schedule a block.
No, and they can't work for friends because the friends won't be able to afford the risk either. Like if you were a mom, been in marketing, would you set up a little firm that hired people as independent contractors, let's say to do, event host management or party planning? I mean, you'd be crazy to add 3 people for a big event. One of them turns you in, and you'll go right out of business and have to sell your house.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't know. I just don't see a win anywhere. And in fact, knowing Uber, I just don't think their fight is done.
No.
For a minute, I kind of thought it was until that stupid AG, and excuse my language there, but until she stuck her neck out there again and was like, you know what? Okay, we've made the deal now. Now let me jump on the side of these people and say that they can have what they can have their cake and eat it too.
Right. I have no idea what was in her mind. But
I think she's just playing everybody's angle. Like I see right through those people. I would think other people do too. I don't know. You can't have her saying, well, she made this deal with the corporation, but she's gonna back this, which totally goes against her deal. It's like, who is this woman?
Exactly.
You guys got her elected somehow. I don't know how.
Oh,
but there seems to be a lot of elected officials in this country that need to go.
We can talk about Massachusetts politics further. It was a walk in the park. Let's see. I'm going to put a link in the chat, Steve, to the Vloggy post.
Yes, guys, please. We got to get those rolling again, because once we get a couple rolling, then we keep saying, okay, we got another one, we got another 2. Then we'll kind of get back on the pumping thing. But we really need those videos, audio files even. And maybe we're to that point. Maybe some people just would rather do audio. Do the audio. It's fine. Just say that you're an independent contractor. You can even just say the state you're in, and that you'd like to remain one, and let it be at that. So
one thing we can push back on, Steve, that is that we don't want the benefits. We don't want.
No.
We just want cash.
Yeah.
And we're going to.
And we hear that every week,
right,
from people. Yeah, we hear from everybody saying, "Dude, I don't need the state to give me fake benefits." And then a lot of people call them fake benefits.
Right. And the nice thing about pushing back on benefits is the benefits won't push back. You're not anti anybody. You're anti the benefits imposed on you by the system and by the agreements. And that's really important. And so you just tell your legislators, say it in your video, I don't want benefits to come with my my contract.
Right. Or I can handle my own benefits. Thank you.
I'll handle my own benefits. So, but it's a very interesting competitive position, is to be able to compete with something that won't push back.
Yep. Real quick, let's say hi to the people here in the chat, and obviously to the audio podcast. Those of you not listening to the audio podcast too, by the way, if you're watching this, make sure you check it out. You can find it on Spotify too. Be My Own Boss podcast. But hi, Ivanaska, how are you? Hello to Chicago. Traveler, hi to Syracuse. Mad Cat, how you doing? Rick, how are you? Kevin Hawthorne, Kevin's in Southern Florida. And we got Bud Soda here from the upper state of New York. I think is pretty much as north as you can go. He's way up there. So,
well, there's Maine up above him and a little bit of Montana too. So, but hi, Bud Soda.
Well, as far as New York goes, he's pretty up there.
Oh, definitely up there.
So, but yeah, guys, if you haven't made a video, I know that, some of you that I just dropped that on have not. If you could at least do audio, Mike put the link down there. It's just as simple as clicking it. I think with the Vloggy one, there might be like a checkbox, or you just add your email is all you're adding, but that's it. There's no multiple steps. There's no verification. There's nothing that's going to tie your hands or make you feel like this is too much work. And if in any way it helps, and it does, then please do make these. So, but Soda says that there is he says I'm in Rome, and they have a
yeah, Force 2 tornado recently. How about that?
huh. That's pretty rare for upstate New York, isn't it?
Yes, very rare.
The times they are changing, people, but we got to stop that from happening, at least in this space, because you hear me laughing a little bit, but I'm laughing because of the ridiculousness of this. I mean, the fact that it's taken them since 2019, and I've been in touch with Dana, who's a YouTuber as well, for years. We've been talking about this pre-pandemic, and they've been trying to shove this down your throat, and now all of a sudden here it comes, and it's just done.
Yep.
It's just like this horribly packaged deal, like that's like duct taped shut because they couldn't make a deal, and they're just like kicking it through the door, and they're like, "Here it is." There, sorry about that. Got lost in the mail.
That's the blue state rollout of these anti-independent contractor laws.
Sponsored by duct tape.
Sponsored by duct tape.
Because I mean, honestly, all jokes aside, I mean, it probably does take duct tape because these things can't stand on their own. I don't know. Just opinion, obviously, but my opinion is even the models they look at didn't work. I don't know what they're looking at here.
We can come back the benefits. Remember benefits, Steve. We can come back and talk about how benefits are actually a major part of their strategy, and they're not a part of our side's strategy at all. They're a detriment. So, but we're crunching away on our limit here.
Yeah, no. So with that said, when this does that, I think we should do one on benefits. I also think we should do one on unions, like an educational piece almost on unions and their place in America too. Because
they have a place.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. But I think that a lot of people hear us say anti-union, but it's not really like that. Maybe everybody just needs to understand. So
nope, there are competitive unions are a wonderful thing. My grandfather and his 7 siblings formed a union of musicians in Cleveland back in the 1920s, and they did it because they were non-union musicians were giving regular musicians a bad name. The weddings music wasn't right. They didn't show up. They were sloppy. And my family, who are all professional musicians, says we've got to get some standards going so that the buyers can be assured they're going to get a professional musician.
Mm-hmm.
There was competition, and so they did that. But now what's happened is that unions they're not about the worker and the quality of work at all. They're about
and I was going to back that part.
Right.
And I think that's the taste in most people's mouths is that unions are not about quality work anymore.
Right.
But that doesn't have to be the case. But anyway, with that said, we got 2 parts left. What is next week's? And then we bring it all around for the final one. So you guys, we're almost out of the woods. But
you always ask a question I'm not prepared for. It's
maybe I have it here.
I'm sure we do. It's but we'll let you know.
Here it is. Unfixable Law.
Yes, unfixable.
And then the 6th part, since we're this close, we'll just tell you guys, is with voice and your friends. Simple steps to defend your freedom will be part 7 too. So next week is about choose to be your own boss and the unfixable law. And then it finally winds around with part 6. So Mike, what else do we got for the week? Is that it?
That's perfect for today. And I'm very grateful to everybody that watches now and later on.
Mm-hmm.
Getting a lot of circulation, and we really appreciate it. So
yeah, it's big time. And make sure you guys that you're subscribed to the Be My Own Boss channel, whether you're watching on whichever channel when it's live. Realize that after the fact, you will go over there, and I will make a community post as well that points you in the right direction. So until next week, everybody be good, earn smart, and be safe out there. And we'll see you back here next week.
Thanks, everybody.
Hey, welcome everybody to the Be My Own Boss podcast. My guest and co-host is not my guest. My co-host is Mike Harubi, who's in Massachusetts, and I'm still in Colorado. I'm here with this is by the way this is check out how clean it is. This is the best green screen in the world. It's called Nature. So
fabulous. And
but yeah, anyway, guys, I'm just doing it outside because I'm here. I'm on a pit stop doing a curry run and visiting some friends, and I thought, why not, take advantage of the moment. But we are in the middle of a 6-part series, and we are on part 5, meaning what's next week, the conclusion. But this week we are at ABC. It's not as easy as 1, 2, 3. And Mike, from there, do you want to get us started with this?
Sure. Be sure to jump in. Last thing we want is a monologue on a duopoly. Anyway, you're at 7,500 feet and I'm at 500. So you probably have an even better view of all of this. So
yeah, for those of you curious, yes, the sun's overhead, but Mike actually has been to Durango. He knows what I'm talking about. Like, it's literally just over my head.
It is really, really like a powerful beam. It's just absolutely fabulous.
I mean, I don't know how to explain it. Maybe you could even do it in a way, because when I tell people things like this, they're like, well, you're only at 7,500 feet. I mean, yes, it's a lot, but in the distance to the sun, like, it matters. It really does.
Well, you have almost no serious air above you. So it's like incoming solar, bang, right on your forehead. And it's fantastic up there.
I mean, it feels like, I'll put it this way: when I'm doing 14ers and stuff here in Colorado, when I get up to the top of those, I feel like I'm halfway to the sun.
And you really are, as far as insolation, the incoming solar. It's fabulous. Anybody who wants to go and try it, it's the best place. Wonderful. All right, let's get to business.
So yeah, maybe one day you will see Mike and I here together in Durango doing a live podcast. That would be awesome. Maybe we'll do it on the train. But for this week, let's get in. There's people here to see or to hear now part 5.
Yep.
Should I read off? Let me just real quickly read off the parts we've done so far, just to kind of get everybody refreshed here a little bit. So part 1 was crushing independent work, the Attorney General's settlement. Part 2, and this is all the Boston Massacre 2024 was what we called this. Part 2 was the murder weapon, how ABC labor law works. Part 3, tricks of the trade, how ABC labor law became a trap. Part 4, career theft ahead. That was last week. Damage from all directions. And now we're on part 5. And I'll even say this because Mike and I we were sitting there going, what do we call it? Because we didn't want to sound negative, because there's always a fight. But it was originally the Unfixable Law, choose to be your own boss. But Mike retitled it, and then I played with a ABC thing he was using, and I jokingly said ABC. It's not as easy as 1, 2, 3. And the reason I just said all that was because none of this is easy.
No, but it's got a happy ending.
But it's not. I mean, but you and I dig into this every day, and it's still not easy to understand. To the people who poke in here and there, like, kudos to you for like paying attention and listening and joining us.
Yes.
Because I know a lot of you have questions. I've known a lot of you for years who were like, what is ABC? And I'm like, you live in California, you get Prop 22. And they're like, yeah. I'm like, that's what AB5 is. So like literally a lot of people have learned. And so kudos to you for paying attention, because it's hard. It's hard to understand.
It pays dividends. This is like a lot of things in school. The longer you study it, the easier it becomes. So I will tell you, there are good times ahead, both for understanding it and for changing it. Mm-hmm. So let me just set the table, Steve, and we can go together. There are, as we've talked about, 73 million independent contractor incomes that are threatened by the coming changes in labor law. And in Massachusetts, they've come through the ABC test in a law that's 20 years old. In California, it's a law that's 5 years old, and that was signed into law just about 5 years ago in 2019. And I'm sure Steve is around. He He's up at high altitude, and maybe this.
I'm here. I'm frozen. So you keep talking. I'm going to remove myself and come back in.
Okay, it's definitely not freezing here in Massachusetts. So, anyway, with these everybody's incomes being threatened, and now there's more action trying to come in the national stage with the PRO Act, and which is very anti-independent contractor. So my intuition tells me now is an excellent time to take the initiative. We've got a lot of people. They're smart, they're hardworking, and they would like to do something, but they don't know what. So one question that'll come up is maybe we can fix the ABC test. That's how, there's something like any problem in front of you. Maybe if we undo it, maybe, we could be victorious that way. So you recall in previous segments, or for those of you who are just tuning in, the ABC test starts with an assumption that everybody's an employee. We know for a fact that is horribly wrong. If it were 9 out of 10, you might live with it. But 4 pushing 5 out of 10 being very happily self-employed, independent contractors, freelancers, we know that's not the case. So you'd have a problem fixing that right off. Then we've talked about 9 very short phrases, 90 words total for 9 short phrases. And they are additive tests that an employer, your client, has to prove that he passes, which is, of course, impossible because you can't prove a negative. And then they got treble damages, is how most of the states tee this up, which California does and Massachusetts does, and I suspect that the PRO Act will get around to.
I actually want to take a quick moment, if I can, Mike, to point out independent, because this is I just had a thought about this is a relatable moment for the gig workers watching on gig app platforms about independent contractorship, because we're independent contractors. By definition, when we came on the platform, we felt that a lot more. You picked and chose. Even if you had never done it, you understood it. But then now the companies, I think I was just thinking of it like the ABC test. Like when you put that in place and everybody has to make a certain amount, well, it's you're not going to be an independent contractor anymore.
Right. They're taking away your
how you guys felt at one point. And we always feel like, oh, there's less money, they should pay us. It really comes down to just rights being removed.
Bad news, bad medicine. Anyway, it's also built on this fantasy that people go to work for benefits, which is crazy. They certainly don't go to work for themselves for benefits. They'd be happy to get some cash. And anything that we would change in the law is going to have the bad guys working to take our wording and tweak it a little bit and make it twice as bad as we imagined our fix to be, and then say that represents all freelancers and double crossing us. And then finally, the Congress said when we approached them about having, doing something for independent contractors in the law, they said, fine, bring your impressive uproar. Amaze us. We can spend your political capital, but not ours. Those were our allies. So that leaves us with, like, how would you actually do it? So if you take that free of direction, we'd have to redefine that. Free of direction is 3 words. It would take hundreds of words, maybe thousands, in order to turn that around and actually slice the pie from the actual self-employers to the wannabe employees. So you have to do that 9 times, and it all has to make sense, and it has to work for everybody. So free of direction is almost impossible to take. The fact is, it's a 2-way relationship when you have a buyer and a seller. Those 2 are working together to get to an end. And you have to, as a seller, you have to know, like, it's as if you were driving people but didn't know where they went. So you have to have input from them. They're not your boss. They tell you, I want to move, I want to get a ride to 28 Elm Street. Not, sort of northeast of here. So finally, the more words you write, the less understanding you have, and that drives away support. Nobody wants to read a 300-page document, and nobody, not even the lawyers.
That's why they make them 300 pages.
That's why they make them. Nancy Pelosi makes them 5,000 pages long, gives them to you at 9, says we're voting at 11:30. Be there.
Right.
So,
and her 5,000 page document, usually there's more information in a Dr. Seuss book. So
yes, and Dr. Seuss rhymes, and you could remember it. Not this stuff. Anyway, fixing legislation like this is inherently time-consuming and difficult beyond belief. So it might be fixable, but not in our lifetimes, which is when it would be valuable. So I got to thinking, Steve, that when I had my own firm for 20 years and employed a lot of people, but we lived entirely on projects. There were no contractual long-term relationships. And I went to a conference, and there was a speaker, and he said the trick for running a service business is to create something of value and then own it. And I was absolutely flabbergasted, because I thought, yeah, consultants, you're supposed to take every thought you have and sell them, start fresh next time. He said, no, create something of value and own it. So I thought, maybe this is a tip for what we can do with all the other self-employers out there, is to create something of value that they could own and that we could actually create for them. Then, so there is an invisible, so anyway, period. So we're looking for a token. We're looking for something we can give them that would allow them to express their absolute conviction that sometimes they want to be an independent contractor. Maybe sometimes they want to moonlight. You can do both. You can do both with this token. So we're going to give them a token. Just instead of thinking of it as a law, think of it as, here's a silver dollar from 1881 that I keep on my desk. It's 2 years older than my grandfather, also last name Ruby. He's no longer with us, but he certainly knew a silver dollar when he saw one. And we need a token that each individual self-employer can have and use. It's his or her token. Nobody can take it away, and they can use it. They can give it or give their token to a client and say, this proves that the work I'm going to do for you is going to be self-employed work. And that gets you off the hook with all these nasty ABC tests. Leave them right there, but this will get us around it.
I don't know if you and I were talking about it off the camera or not last week. We were talking about how not all unions are bad, and that some, were sometimes people organizing because it needed to be, but handling it themselves too, not paying all these ridiculous fees, not knowing where they're going, all this stuff, like actually taking care of something. Is that part of that too? No. Because I guess what I'm saying is, like, we were going back in time, and I know we're talking about a different time, but how that was needed because a lot of people were doing shoddy work.
Yes, that's the union, not union dispute. Right. And there is a place for unions, but it doesn't have bearing on this. This is vendor oriented.
I was just wondering if it was also giving some kind of form of, like, I'm legit, or
yes, it legitimizes you in the eyes of the law. That's what the purpose of the token.
Right. So as far as, like, they feel clean about working with you.
Right. And
how you do, that's a different story.
Absolutely. And what you do and when you do it. All of that's
but if they hire you to do something, you do a bad job, that's a different story. But you're legal to do it.
Yes. The law allows you to fail. But anyway. So we can create a token, and we can imagine what it would be. And then each one of them, everybody who has a token can be their own boss, because they now have a token. It expresses their commitment to it, and they own their own time. They own their own schedule. And their spending, they don't have to spend it on benefits. If they don't want the benefits, they can just take the cash. Thank you very much. Collect from the client, and they can work as they want. And there is nothing like this in labor law, but we do it in other laws. We do it in other laws. So it's possible. So my wrap up on this is that fixing the ABC test is not feasible, but fixing labor law so that self-employers can be happy with it is absolutely realistic and possible, and people can get on board with it. So that's my 50 cent, my dollar version, silver dollar version.
So now the big question, how do you get people to listen right now? And I think the timing for this question is pretty good because I don't want to name names, but one politician out there happens to have decided she's not anything she thought she was, that she's the opposite of everything. And so now I've even heard talks about, I saw Kim Kevin. Okay, let me put it this way. I saw Kim Kevin posted a post today that said, oh, so, I mean, it almost, in a way, she made it sound positive, but it's weird. But she's like, now both sides are fighting for ICs because they need the votes.
We'll see when that happens.
But okay, whether or not that state, I mean, because we can always argue a statement, right?
Yeah.
But my point is like, I mean, the other party has completely flipped. The one party's completely flipped everything. You don't know where they stand, and we know both parties do this. They count up the votes if they need them. I mean, is she really going to keep going up against this with the number, even if it's part-timers, the number of people who work independently growing every year? Is she really going to want another headache like that?
Do you mean is she going to go?
Because I guess what I'm saying is, I'm trying to be careful, guys, but you think we all know. I'm just going to say it. So we're talking about Kamala Harris. I'm not dissing on her or saying anything in this venue. I'm just saying whatever. But I don't think she's at a point she doesn't have to follow Biden's lead anymore about pro-union, pro-act, all that stuff. But I'm not promoting Kamala, people, please. I'm not dissing her. Take it how you will.
If you just think through where you want to try to work with steadfast people who aren't going to change on a dime based on something that's personally, I got a personal opportunity, so I'll let the personal opportunity get in the way of my commitment to my constituents and my fellow citizens. You want someone who's steadfast, and I think that
and you want somebody who has a history with it too, not just last week decided they're with Team Independent.
Yes, because this is just a flag of convenience, and they'll fly a different flag when it's convenient to fly that one. You want someone who is in with you as much as you are committed to supporting yourself, and that's a high bar. And there are a lot of people who aren't going to pass it. And I'm optimistic that quite a few self-employers will come across and realize I have to vote my career this time or I won't have it. So, but that's definitely not. There are people in both parties who will sell out their constituents when the time comes. I'm not definitely not saying all of them, but there are people in both parties. This is not.
I was just going to say there's people in both parties, and you might be like somebody so high up they wouldn't do it to you, but you're always willing to sacrifice. I'm gonna put it this way: a pawn.
Right. Oh yeah. Yep.
Well, I mean, it shouldn't be that way, but they are. So
and we look like pawns to a lot of people. But anyway, the important thing for us to keep in mind: there are 73 million of us.
Right.
We got and we're completely different. And we just picked up another video for our series. I want to recommend everybody join. Our latest one was a man in Simi Valley, California, and we're going to post his, very short statement. He's 85, and he's in the gig economy because he wants to help. He wants to work, help his household, and while he cares for his wife, with his family.
And hi, Ellen, and I think she knows the person.
So it is a remarkable testimonial and makes you really think about, these people are just in it for the benefits. The benefits is keeping my bride alive. That's a benefit. something significant. So, oh my goodness, the rumor was true. So it turns out this. Okay, and thank you, Ellen, and thanks to your dad. But truthfully, people, freelancers are everybody. They're kids, they're adults, they're middle-aged people, they're oldsters, and they're people who are 85. God bless them. So, Raised on Scrabble has said, maybe I'm slow on the uptake, but I'm having a hard time making the connection. The connection is that we need statements from independent contractors telling the public and Congress why they prefer independent contracting. And Raised on Scrabble says, you're thinking of licensing or certification systems.
No, she says unless you're thinking of.
Good guess, Raised on Scrabble. We're actually thinking of getting a number. Just like when you open a trust or a new corporation or an LLC, you get a number, right. And that is it's.
Yeah, we're responding to the token thing.
We're right. It is a token. That's all it is. It's a token, but it says that you have made this commitment. The same way people make a commitment in the armed forces. And they get a military ID and they subject themselves to military law. And they do that in exchange for, accepting unusual responsibilities not found in the normal civilian, certainly. And so it's that kind of thing. I hope that was helpful. But yes, not certification, not a permit. This is as on demand, issued on demand.
Yep.
So it's that kind of solution. But anyway, so just to close up at the top of the chat, there's a uploaded.vloggy. There's a link, and that's how Phil got his video to us, and we thank Phil.
You know what I'm going to do, Mike? I'm going to put I was thinking about this. I was going to tell you, but I'm just going to tell you here. I'm going to put the vloggy link into the Be My Own Boss. What is it? Bitly, or what we use? eTree. It has all of, and then I'm going to put the barcode up on this, because that way when you click it, you see all the things you can go to for Be My Own Boss, New Jobs America. You'd see vloggy upload.
Great. That's a great idea, Steve.
And that way we don't have to keep dropping all these links all the time, and there's no confusion. That way you guys can pick your poison on what you want to do.
Thank you. That's a great idea.
But yes, guys, until that happens, there it is. So I'm going to say hi to everybody real quick. We're going to go down. Kevin Hawthorne in Florida. How you doing? Lynn. Do you know Lynn from Twitter, Mike?
Which Lynn?
You do. That's her handle on Twitter is drivers C2C.
No, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I do.
Oh yeah, you should.
I'm happy to meet you, Lynn.
She's all involved in the talks about everything in the gig economy that we got going on. So, and she's on Twitter a lot most often. So, I think she's in North Carolina. Hi Ellen, how are you? What's up, Toby? Oh my God, the distance from the sun makes no difference. It's 100 million miles.
No. Don't take this. You have to.
Because you're above the atmosphere, or more.
Actually, he is definitely above. He is definitely above most of the atmosphere.
Right.
Definitely. You can do the weight and compare.
Hey, Derek, how are you? Derek's here, or Derek's in Denver. Ron, how you doing, buddy? He's in Massachusetts. Nick, how you doing, my man? Nick's in Austin, Texas. Only rhinos sell out. All Dems are sellouts to the system. Okay.
We're definitely all entering a free speech
area. Okay, the example of the token. Okay, Trump wants to get rid of taxation on tips. Yeah, I'm not that might be a topic, not because of Trump, but that would be a topic I'd be interested on having with you on one, Mike.
Sure.
Because I understand tips from the server side, and I don't think that's a possible thing, no matter what anybody promises you.
What do you mean? You don't think Congress will
removing taxes on tips?
Eliminating it? Yeah, I think it's feasible. I think Trump's got an idea going here.
I mean, I think if you're going to remove federal taxes altogether, that's one thing. But like, if you're going to just try and take away service industry stuff, but that's another episode. I would love to have that talk to.
Let's schedule it.
Okay. Did you know the stock market crashed today?
Yes, I did. Is it not 4:00 yet?
I'm up in the mountains, so actually normally I would, but I did not know.
You didn't hear the crash in Durango. Okay. It was, last I checked, it was down 800 and change. So anyway.
Well, thanks for the shout out. Yeah. So Mike, go check out Lynn and whatever that handle was up top, because I don't even know her handle. I just know her as Lynn on Twitter.
Okay.
In this space where the apps are basically middlemen, I'm curious how a token or registration system would work, or if app-based gig workers need a reclassification. I understand her question there, and I've actually talked with Scrabble on several occasions about why did we never give them a hybrid classification for app-based workers.
Raised on Scrabble, what we're doing here is we're picking up the edge of the Fair Labor Standards Act and revealing that the left and the unions have for 86 years not allowed an individual to classify themselves under any circumstance, nowhere. And so we're saying that is about to change, because we have an enormous number of votes and an enormous number of our population works that way, our workforce. And given that we are very likely coming into a recession, I expect 20 million more people will try independent contracting on top of the 73. So we're going to have well over half the workforce. And I don't think you can kick half the workforce out and expect society and the economy to continue. It's a practical matter.
Let me ask you this then, because I can see from Scrabble as a full-time, her name's April, she has a full-time job, a good job, W-2, and then she does gig work on the side as well. Right. So I think she's asking from the gig work perspective, and I think her point might be she doesn't want regulations and everything either, but she's one of those people like us. It's just like, it's that confusion zone, because it's like, what stops these companies? Do these companies need a token that we're of good faith and we practice ethics?
For her, April, the way to think about this is when you sign up for your W-2 job, you get a Social Security number, or you present it. And that is your token for being an employee. You can't be an employee without it. You got it just by breathing, or you signed up for it. She's not a W-2. I'm a logistics.
Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. I just meant like you were out. You're like me. No. And I don't want to say real independent contractor, but that's how she's thinking of it. And I mean in the traditional sense.
A real independent. And now you sound like the Secretary of Labor.
No. But how I've always said traditional is what I mean.
Right.
And I am too. But like before the apps existed.
Right.
And I happen to know what she does. I just know I think she's asked me not to say. So I'm not going to say because of some of her clients.
Fine. People can maintain their anonymity here. April, let's say you were working a W-2 job in your occupation and you still wanted to do work on the side, but definitely not as an employee, not as an employee, just to work as a contractor. You would then have two tokens. One is your Social Security number. That's one token, and that indicates work that you want to be W-2 on, you and everybody else. And you all have a unique number that we have no problem in this country servicing that need. Now you've got, under this new plan that we think we can push forward, you would have another number also, but this is your token for working self-employed, and you would give it to the platform, and that would be the number that you work with them on, and those numbers are exempt from treatment because as an employee, because they are self-employers. And you can now contract as a self-employer with an outfit like a platform. And so it becomes a pass-through. All they do is they pay you for your agreed amount, whether you're on the gig driving or doing consulting or medical analytics or medical services. You could be doing that as an independent contractor. So
you could be doing all of them as an
yes,
independent contractor.
Yes, you could if the other guy will agree to it. It's all voluntary,
Right?
and you don't
But
have.
but I'm saying that's how it should be. If you have those skills, you should be able to use them however you want.
Yes, and that then leaves the ABC test applying only to people who are, want to be employees, and for some reason the employer is treating them not like an employee but like an independent contractor. That situation doesn't apply to where all the voluntary independent contractors are involved.
But I guess before kind of a Springer final thought for me, I was thinking of is that, they want to, I'm freezing. Oh shit.
We can still hear you. You're freezing. Okay. Well, let's see. Are you back, Steve? He is temporarily gone.
Never mind. We're going to close it out.
Okay.
It was like flickering here, and I'm in the shade now too. I don't know what was happening, but what I would have said, I'll just keep it for next time because I wrote it down right here. So okay, I see we're at 32 minutes. I don't want to hit a glitch and have this all be shot. It was a good piece. You guys had an amazing background. Again, best green screen ever. Nature.
Right.
Go outside, people.
Books. Take your choice. Durango is 7,500 feet, or Boston at 500. Anyway, thank you all. Get your friends to send in a video, just like they would send to their parents or their kids or their friends, and let's get this thing on the way.
Yeah. Maybe we should do a thing, Mike, where, I don't know, I don't even know what the number was at. I know it's slowed. We should do a thing where when we hit 100 uploads, take those 100 people and do a giveaway.
I like that.
I mean, we're not going to buy you a car or nothing, people, but like Mike and I could go in on something for you. Like,
right.
This is our appreciation for taking the time.
Absolutely.
We'll do like a raffle on here and spin the wheel. They have one in StreamYard as well. You can actually have all the people in the live.
Sounds terrific.
So, but maybe we could do something like that, or we'll come up with a good number because I'm not exactly sure what that number's at. I think it might be around 30 or 40, maybe. I don't know.
I think we're about there, yeah.
But we'll come up with a number. Maybe we could just, it's worth it to me. I would love to see that moving because when things grow, momentum happens. So everybody, thank you so much. Next week will be part 6 of 6. And then like we did for the first 3 parts, I'll do another piece on the Be My Own Boss channel that will premiere as parts 4 through 6, because that long piece that I put up, parts 1 through 3, did very well. So I think some people have missed a part here or there. So then it'll just be, don't miss next week on the live, but as of next week, you'll be able to catch 2 videos that will play all 6 parts. But next week is called what, Mike? Because I have it down here, but I even forget what we went through. A few.
One was with a little help from our friends.
Yes,
which was a Beatles song,
and
still is.
So, simple steps to defend your freedom.
Right.
Yep. And that's it. And you guys come here and bring all your questions. Bring your questions from the prior episodes, even. Like if you saw episode 1, you're like, I never asked about that thing. Go back, find your questions from this whole series and bring them next week. And even if you've been holding back on something like, well, they already talked about that. Next week, let's any questions out there, bring them.
Great idea. More audience participation next week. We'll try to deal like Raised on Scrabble. That was a good conversation. Appreciate that opportunity.
And Steven said this before we go, just so you know.
that this is a problem, but it is not related to the fact of independent contracting. It's
different
people taking advantage of the imbalance that is normal with small companies working for big companies.
And
Absolutely normal.
And that's where it's being politicized too, because that's where they're saying like, oh, see, you're just employees. No, it's just a different fight.
The client does not decide what our role is. Only we can accept the responsibility. Well, more coming, lots more coming. We're going to win this. This is the kind of turmoil where you get this kind of change that makes a big difference to a lot of people.
Okay, Scrabble, you have emailed me many times. You are very well spoken. I've been on lives with you before, so I'm not only going to offer this to you, I'm going to offer it to anybody been watching these. If you would feel better about it, please email me, steve@ridesharerodeo.com, your entire thing you want. We'll read the whole thing, Mike and I, next week and address it if it's easier that way. If you would rather sit down on an email and like really think it through and put all your questions down there, we'll go through them all.
Love to.
So everybody out there, if you have any questions, 1 question, 5 questions, put them down. I'll share them with Mike, and we'll through the week figure out how to cover them all. We're here for you guys.
We're here. We have only one loyalty. That's you all. All right, Steve, we got to go.
Yep. Everybody have a great day. We'll see you back here next week. And,
thanks, everybody.
Stay earn smart, guys.
Hang in there. Oh, and if when you get a chance.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Be My Own Boss podcast. I am joined here by Mr. Mike Karubi, my co-host.
Hello, Steve. Hello, everybody.
And I have been a little under the weather, guys. My voice is much better, but I am close to. Next week we will have the intro. The other thing is I didn't want to bring Mike's new intro in on this piece because this is the closing of the Boston Massacre. I feel like next week is going to be a different episode, and that's where we'll premiere it. So you guys will be probably happy to see it. But we, as you know, as many of you know, we've been going through a 6-part of the Boston Massacre 2024, and mostly as it relates to what happened to gig workers in Massachusetts, where Mike is. And oddly, this morning, I'm just going to run through this real quick with you guys, and then Mike's going to take us through the last part of this, and hopefully there's some light at the end of the tunnel. It's going to be a happy day, but I want you to know that it's very odd timing. Today, Uber and the driver app launched in Massachusetts its new rollout of what the Attorney General and everybody that's been fighting for this for a long time wanted. Some of you will instantly see the problem. Some of you might need to digest it a little bit, but let's run through it because this is what the drivers see in the app today. So Uber, we reached out previously to let you know that Uber came to an agreement with Attorney General Andrea Campbell. That gives drivers access to new protections and benefits. We're excited to share that several of these benefits will soon be available to you. Here is some information on the new benefits you'll receive in the coming weeks. Guaranteed earnings. Starting on Thursday, August 15th, you will earn a guaranteed minimum $32.50 per hour for your active time. Again, guys, keep this in your head. This is the main part of it, active time. On trips that begin in Massachusetts. Active time is the total time you spend while on the way to pick up a ride and drop off a rider. For those that know, that's stages 2 and 3. The other phases are not paid for, and that's the big part. To meet the earning guarantee, you may receive a supplemental payment at the end of a 2-week earnings period. We know why they do that, because they add the hours and the and the $32.50 together. If on some hours you earned over and some under, they will balance that out so that you never earn over $32.50 an hour. And again, that's just for the active time. So as always, you will keep 100% of your tips on top of the pay. We know also, I need to mention this, that in every city this is launched in, tipping goes down over 50% within 2 weeks. So don't expect many tips anymore. Because, and we'll get to the reason why those tips go down primarily. There will be a partial earnings period between August 15th and 19th. The first 2 week will be the 19th through September 2nd. And then the last here, Benefit Hub, you can access that for you in Massachusetts, you can access it through the app. And then here's the kicker, though. Here's how it ends. Massachusetts driver benefits surcharge. Anybody already realizing what's happening? We'll be introducing a new rider surcharge on all trips starting in Massachusetts called the MA Driver Benefits Surcharge. This is a rider fee, which helps Uber fund the new driver benefits. And in fact, we know in Seattle, they've destroyed this, and the volume is so down. To all of you in Massachusetts, look, for a few honeymoon weeks, I hope this works out for you. And I hope not too many of you have to leave the platform, because there won't be enough work. And that's a proven fact. And I mean, we can see what happens we got to give it over a month. We can see what happens in 5 to 6 weeks, but I guarantee you already by then we will see less volume. So Mike, how are you?
I'm great.
I'm sorry. I just had to put that rant in because I thought the timing was just funny.
Well,
today
Steve,
on part 6.
Good news or bad news, we're going to be here to report it.
Yep.
And we've got good contacts in Massachusetts, and we have we'll do our best with it. You'll likely hear it here first, if possible. I haven't seen this any other place but here.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, obviously those of you who drive Uber know how this comes. It either comes in the form of an email, or usually both, or the first time you open the app once it's launched. So, so we've all seen this in the other states. So most of us are not surprised by how this is worded or whatever. And that, again, was for the Massachusetts one. So it does say that in Thursday the 15th, that is this Thursday, in 3 days this starts. So if Mike orders an Uber in 3 days, he will have the fees and everything will be more than they've ever been, just by a little bit. It'll go up over months, but he will now see a Massachusetts surcharge for bad government that will say, hey, you need to pay the stupid rider fee that we are going to give now, and that's $10 extra per ride.
Most of what Massachusetts government does is a surcharge for bad management, but we'll address that separately.
So we're going to jump in. I'm just going to say hi, Traveler. Hey, Bubba Sue. Hey, Ron saying, they're going to massacre the passengers. No, yep. See, Ron knows.
Yep.
And once they get to the food delivery space, we all know what happens then too. They ruin the passengers, they ruin the drivers, and they go after the restaurants that are their partners now, to make them pay for these legislative slips. Hi, Steve, Mike, Traveler. What's up, Rick? I guess he sees more people in here than me. Maybe not. And everybody in the chat, thank you for joining us, and thank you for the couple of people over on Facebook who have Facebook. If you comment, we should see it here. By the way, if you're driving, just drive, be safe. But here we are. We're at part 6, and we've been talking about this Boston Massacre 2024. It's Mike. I think Mike has done an awesome job of breaking these 6 parts into 6 parts, and the fact that he did it before we ever recorded the first part is amazing, because he already knew it'll be 6 parts. And we've had some great comments, and it has. And here we are with part 6. We're going to round the corner, and it's I can get by with a little help from my friends.
Yep, it's true.
So,
well, thanks, Steve. And again, I'll extend my welcome to everybody for joining us for episode 6 of the Boston Massacre of 2024. The little announcement from Uber makes me think that this might be elastic. There might be more episodes, but we're always glad to follow up as necessary. So just a quick recap to look at some of the distance that we've covered. In the earlier 5 episodes, episode 1, we show how the ABC law itself trapped Uber and Lyft. They never thought it would be this bad. You're never going to hear from them. You'll never hear from the Attorney General, but $175 million fine is a lot of change. And what we then afterwards, the AG revealed that she was all in on unionizing drivers too. So that's create a nice national template for unionization of drivers, lack of independent contracting, and huge costs going out to all the users, whether they be restaurants or passengers. So then in episode 2, we pried open, as we promised, we pried open the ABC labor law. And we found 90 words designed to kill independent contracting. The enemy is here. It's in labor law. And they're really, in the end, as we've discussed, there is really only one thing to measure, and it's completely clear, and that's a single individual's choice of the responsibility to be their own boss. That's what it comes down to, avoiding the truth. Unions and the government specialize in this. Episode 3, we looked at the wording of the 9 tests, not the 3 tests you might expect. The language is designed to fail all independent contractor arrangements, no matter what. Just like with Uber and Lyft, no amount of legal talent will get you out of it once they put their meat hooks in. And it really is proof that governments can really make some horrible laws. That's just a matter of fact. Episode 4, we looked at labor law as a theft of 73 million working incomes, and Massachusetts is the model, has been right along. And I'm calling 73 million incomes gone. I'm calling it grand theft labor. So we've got another term we can use, Steve. ABC labor law in episode 4. Nope, that's the one. Episode 5 was labor law cannot be fixed in our lifetimes. It's too complicated a job. It just needs to be discarded, but too many people are going to adore it. So we discussed that there's another path, never discussed, another path to freedom for independent contractors, and that's by creating a token which we can choose as self-employers. And I held up my $1 coin from 1881. It actually could look like this. A token of your choice to be your own boss, a token of my choice to be my own boss, etc., for Steve and 73 million others. And what we know is that with your voice and your friends, you can defend your freedom to work as your own
I've
boss.
got my token too.
You've got your token too? I can't see it.
Mine's for climbing a 14er, but
oh, good for you. That works. That works. We'll consider. Yeah. We can have customized tokens. We can do this. So let's get started. There are 3 steps. 3 steps, guys. That will get you where you want to be. The first one, you've heard us say this before. Declare why you prefer to be an independent contractor. That you can do that with a short video. You do it on your phone, the same one you work with. Why do you prefer independent contracting? I'm Mike. I live in Massachusetts. I'm an independent contractor. Here's why. That statement that you make refutes all the claims otherwise that you prefer dependence. You're saying it right out loud. That's as simple as the be my own boss solution. It's exactly the same thing. You just declare it. That's where we're going with this. You've chosen this work style. So why not share why you want to keep it? You already talk about it with people. And nothing, absolutely nothing, convinces people like your face and your voice and your character. Guaranteed. By declaring.
Yeah, and I want to say on that, maybe I need to kind of start a fire under my own butt for this, but when we first started, I was pulling in, I was getting a lot of people to send videos in, and it slowed, guys. We're like 88 days out from the election, and things are going crazy as it is now. Both sides are gonna, both sides are saying they're gonna get rid of taxes on tips. I mean, first of all, that's very, very big. I'm coming from service industry. That's almost impossible. But I mean, now they're both claiming the same thing. So things are a mess. There is no reason to not get these to us, because these people, I know this, and Mike knows this too. These lawmakers are hearing from people, but they're hearing from the people who want to be W-2 employees in a non-W-2 setting.
Steve, there's just to document that, there is a great article that I will send around. I don't have the link yet to post it in the chat, but the headline, it was written by a Jennifer O'Connell, who is a good friend of mine. Congress doesn't care about freelancers, and it may cost them at the polls. This is one of the most important articles on independent contractors in the law that has been written in the last 4 years. It's remarkable, and I will make sure you can get a copy. She says the truth. Congress doesn't care yet. They haven't seen that they've got any skin in our game. So back to you. Oh, wait.
Well, I mean, that's really what I had to say, is that these elected officials are hearing from people. But they were hearing from us in these batches for a minute, and I think we were getting some really good momentum, and for whatever reason, it paused. I know we all hit a summer, things got a little slower, we were having to work more, but even so, it's more the reason. Do you really want to know that in your city there are people going to say that they want to do what you're doing, but they can't hustle to the level you can, so they just would like to do it as a W-2 employee? My guess is none of you want that. So do you have to go down to City Hall? No, but you can make a video still. You can do an audio, whatever. I mean, these are, as we've said, these are much more powerful. You can still write a letter. I mean, you can do that too, but I think the video is the most powerful. So anybody that could, it would be to all of our benefits. So I'm not even going to say it's, to yours, but it is to yours clearly. And I mean, if things did totally go and change, and a fight would have prevented that some or slowed it to a different outcome, would you not be kicking yourself in the butt if you didn't make one know that it could have done something?
It has an impact.
I guess that's my point.
Anybody, by the way, Steve, while you were doing that, I posted a direct link to all 28 of the videos that we posted, and a couple of more combination videos. They're actually in my Venture Mike 1, my Twitter account, but they're on Rumble, and the link is here. You can pass this around. It's all public, and they're all there with their little mini description. And I'm very appreciative to everybody who contributed. We're going to start reposting them. And
I was going to say, maybe we can start reposting schedule it one every day for the next 28 days. On To Be My Own Boss, that one will drop. And yes, most people might have seen it already or whatever, but it'll kind of remind people.
The audience turns over. But the latest one we had got 2,700 views just on Twitter, and they're on 8 platforms. So that's very encouraging how far they can go, which means that one video is going to go in 8 different platforms, and it can go to thousands of people. So we don't need 73 million. We can do with a couple of hundred, because we'll just paper the joint, with our own claims. Okay. Anyway, once you record it, and we will send you a link to yours, and then we promote it, and it's working while you're sleeping or while you're doing something else. So this is a very handy tool, and you can reach thousands of people, as I said. So the second thing is to get it into our hands. It's really crucial. You take your video. You can see in the 28. It's guys everywhere, at home, in the car, wherever they are, out in the road, in the highway. Ron was in the highway.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to work with you. This is not, you versus Washington, or you versus, East Lansing, or anything like that. This is all of us together. And
that's weird that Mike just said East Lansing. That's where I was born and raised.
East Lansing. Congratulations. We're a couple of Midwesterners. You're just on the Western side right now.
Yeah.
Your statement will inspire others to make their video, and you guys are the innovators. You're the first to try this, and it's really working well. So,
and it's not. And I got to point out that it's not them. All they got to do is upload. All you guys got to do is make it, upload it, And I mean, I'll get it out on other platforms. Mike gets it out, but also Mike has he knows who to send things to. We don't. There's always a skill set that comes with somebody. One of Mike's skill sets is that he knows this came from this needs to go to this, and this person.
We, by the way, Steve, exactly right. And thank you for saying that. We ask only for your zip code. And with your zip code, we can look up who your rep is. We can actually, if you'd prefer not to send it yourself for some reason, we can send it and say your constituent supplied us with this, and zip code, whatever. And
yeah, you guys, you can leave city, but we've even said if you feel skeptical on that, you have no reason to. But if you do, you can just say state if you feel more comfortable.
State's fine. If you live in Dink, West Virginia, you can just say West Virginia. That's okay. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna take this for a second. People might want to know where the Vloggy.
Yeah. So while you're posting that, even Aska posted here, watch, they'll most likely do that for cash tips, and most people don't carry cash, so it's just another political scam. I like that because, yeah, like by the time it's kicked into effect, there won't be cash anymore. We'll just be using credit cards.
We'll be using federal digital currency.
We'll be officially on the ruble by then.
Or the yuan, whatever is
that was a joke, you guys. Chill out.
All right. So, third thing, engage your circle. Your circle is much bigger than you actually think. It's not just the people you see in the morning, although they're on the list. Your like-minded friends will help you if you ask them. So you're going to be thinking of who already thinks like this. So it's all your driver friends. Get them engaged, and it's your husband or wife because they have a stake in it, or your girlfriend or boyfriend. They've got a stake in it too. Your family, your friends, your clients, your customers. You got regular customers, your suppliers, and your vendors. I mean, the list goes on. Neighbors, podcasters. You've got Steve. You've got all the other podcasters too. Get them to talk about this. It's easy to do.
And if you're in Massachusetts, think about it anyway. Think about putting a QR code on the back of your seat if you're doing rideshare.
Yeah.
That if somebody gets talking with you with, hey, what's this new $10 Massachusetts BS fee? You can say, oh, just scan that code, and it will take them to a location that Mike and I can create, like on a website or on New Jobs America, somewhere that explains what's going on and how even a customer could upload a video.
Hey, you can call it the Boston Massacre.
Yeah. I mean, because here's my thing though, to the Boston drivers, you're gonna be here, or Massachusetts, you're gonna be, even if you don't normally talk pricing with your customers, I can tell you from past states that have done this, you're gonna have a lot of questions from customers about this.
Yeah,
you the driver, even though you didn't choose it, you're gonna have a lot of, the more you know about it, the better, because you should be totally informing them.
Yeah, and even those are potential friends. The guys in the back seat who are paying them much higher bills. You say, look, this is because people are deliberately confusing us with employees. We're not employees. We're our own boss. Get them in. That's an opportunity to get them engaged. In one sense, we can turn the whole Massachusetts experience into a recruiting drive. Think about it.
Yeah. But for the right cause.
Absolutely.
Or for the right reason, I mean.
So anyway, and it just keeps broadening out. All you need for your friends is a few minutes help now and then, and associating with allies really works. The frontier is closed, Steve will tell you, but you can still work together. It works even better than ever, and we've got all these tools to get together and communicate. So our wrap up is really simple, Steve, for this episode. It's send us your video. We'll send you a link back. Keep reaching out, get your circle engaged, and use your own video as part of your recruiting tools. And if there's anything you can do, email us. Talk to us in the chat, message us, email, however you know to get a hold of it. You can, let's see, newjobsamerica.com. We have a comment section. You can get comments to me that way.
You know what? You know what I was just thinking I'll do? I'll put you guys. I will today put up a. It won't be me or any. It's just gonna be like a 15-second short on the Be My Own Boss podcast page. That is the QR code that takes you to. I can't remember if is it E-Link or eTree Link or something, where Mike and I basically set up everything that links you to New Jobs America or any social. Be My Own Boss.
Oh, Linktree.
The link tree, yeah. So I'll just because you can put up just the QR code. I don't have to put the whole long string, and then you can just scan it, guys, and you can just just go to it, and you can pick which one you want to go to, YouTube, Twitter, wherever. I mean, they're all on there. I think that might be best. Any questions or anything, that's where we'll put it up. And then you can pick your platform that you like to use to contact.
Yeah, let us know. Let us know what you prefer. Maybe it's something we're missing. We've got 8 platforms that we're on, Steve.
Right, I know, and that's why I was thinking instead of putting them all out there and confusing people, like which one do you guys really like or watch the most, just put it out as the QR code. And here's everything.
Yeah, we'll add it.
Yeah,
terrific. So spread the word. Thanks everybody for watching the podcast series Boston Massacre 2024. We can open it up to you right now if you got questions, suggestions, comments.
Yeah, I see that we have, with Facebook, we've got 15 in here, 16.
Oh, good.
So, I mean, yeah, guys, I know the time of day it is. It's either 2:30 Eastern or it's 11:30 Pacific or anything in between. That is lunchtime. Most of you are working. You might be just driving. I get that. And when I'm driving during those hours, I would usually never have the time to text, and I'm actually on the road driving, and we wouldn't want you to text, so don't. But if you're watching this on the replay, if you have any ideas, anything, and again, sometime this week, we will premiere parts 3 through 6 because that had a good effect on the Be My Own Boss podcast page when we did the parts 1 through 3. Now we've got 4 through 6. So we'll put out another video of this, and that's just 2 parts then that does the whole 6. So if for some reason you've caught parts of this and that, and today you're catching this, and you're like, God, I feel like I missed a lot of this, then that's what these are for. So you can go watch the whole piece. But yeah, I don't, other than that, I've got some ideas for some topics. I know I brought up to Mike, I would like to really talk about unions one of these weeks in terms of, I don't think many people have, a lot of people I've talked to have asked me over the years, Mike, like, why are you so against unions? And I'm not against them or this, and I explain myself, but I think what might be a better thing is to explain unions. I feel like a lot of these people have no clue other than, yeah, I've heard of unions. I've never been in one. I know there's benefits, but I know they take money from you. I mean, a lot of people are on just such a basic level of understanding that maybe we could bring it up a notch and make it, you really understand that. I mean, it's a touchy subject, I know, but like before we started here tonight, I was telling Mike that in Seattle, the TNC is already in bed with the Teamsters, and Uber and Lyft got shoved under the TNC, told they were going to make a lot more money. Again, it's an active time thing. So I know drivers up there who really, it didn't help that much. Some of the delivery drivers maybe, but that's a different thing. But they're already having money taken out from the Teamsters. So, I mean, I don't know. You guys are hearing this 3250. It's going to work really manipulative, not in your favor. And I mean, what if the Teamsters decide they want 10% too?
Well, instead of working what could be collaboratively with the platforms, now you're working non-collaboratively with the Attorney General and unions, and the unions that want to take your dues and your pension, and the platforms. So they've got 3 wolves, and they're deciding, you're the lamb, and they're deciding what's for lunch. So it is not a good look.
Mm-mm.
We can, Steve, one of the great ways to look at this is we have no idea about their motives, but we can talk about the interests that unions have, their business interests.
Yeah,
Everybody,
yeah. No, I'm not looking, and that's why I'm not looking for it to be a diss the union thing.
right? Nope.
It's
Find out.
more just like let's learn about unions.
Yeah,
Like,
I agree. I agree. This is I've been 13 years with this. Like,
right. And I just think it'd be a beneficial piece to everybody. So
yeah,
but I've got a lot of ideas, and so Mike and I'll start typing those out. We've been so engulfed in this that now it's time to go. Okay, well, now we got to pick session by session again. So also you, the viewers, leave in the comments, because comments help the video grow anyway. Go to the
yep.
Be My Own Boss page, because after we're live, I usually sometime during that day I turn it to members only on mine, but it's always public on the Be My Own Boss page. Leave comments, even leave topics you might want us to talk about. And we're happy to.
Yes.
I mean, I might not know about something. Mike might not know about something, but we'll figure it out and we'll have the discussion.
I have learned a ton doing this series. A ton. I never knew some of these things that we've presented to you. Just like you.
Well, I think
got to study it.
You kind of did, right? But you actually like compartmentalized it all and put it in order. So maybe you just kind of were like, whoa, I've got it actually mapped out now. Like
it has so many different parts to it, you know, and the implications of each thing. And I mean, it's like
the unknowns.
Yeah.
There's I mean, to me, anytime I read this kind of stuff, there's just, I could put a if then sentence in for like a C+ programmer who's used to who knows looping sequences. I could put an if then in that would break the algorithm. Like, well, what if this? Well, I don't know. Charge you more money, or I don't know. Take your car. What? I mean, there's just too many unknowns. There's too many things that are not like very clear. This is this. I don't know. A lot of the wording in all of the states doing this stuff is very open to interpretation.
Yes.
Just as the ABC test is.
Yes, absolutely agree.
So, I mean, there we go. I mean, I guess that's the reason. It's left to interpretation because everything these days is being left to interpretation.
Free of direction. How do you demonstrate that?
Yeah. I mean, and give some examples, because you can't just say, well, this guy, yes, this guy, no, and they're both doing the same thing. Because how are everybody supposed to square up and go, well, if they call me and ask me, like, how do I know I'll be one? You don't. Wear nice clothes and smile a lot, because it seems like it's just going to be based on your attitude. But I don't know. I really, all of this stuff, I don't know. Prop 22 is solidified. The Seattle Council wants the new initiative removed, but the council, or they voted on it and said remove it now, and that was 6 months ago. But the council members, every time they meet, fight it, and the businesses have already lost $50 million this year. The restaurants alone. The restaurants, not the platforms. I'm not caring about DoorDash, this, that, or the other. I'm saying that because of everything the city's put on them, the restaurants are saying, we're losing our shirts here, guys. Like, this isn't working. And so they want it gone. The customers want it gone. The drivers want it. Everybody wants it gone, except for the 6-person city council, who has been told by their board, who voted it to go away, to get rid of it. And they're going, no, we're not going to do that. So I don't know how long that kind of standoff lasts either, because at some point the rule of the law is that they shot it down and it's done. The pay up legislation. But the people who need to come out and say it won't. I don't know how else to word it. We're having a standoff of politicians up there. And I don't know. That's not what I want. I mean, my state has been mentioned. My state is going to be going through some changes. I mean, they seem pretty broad here in Colorado, and they're not going until January 1st. So I imagine, Uber and Lyft and DoorDash and all the rest are going to find a way to backhand all that. Because they're not stupid. every time you think that this seems like the biggest win ever, you know, and of course, like, you know, there's been no movement from Uber about it. They're like, yeah, we'll go along with that. So everybody in Massachusetts thinking it's great. Well, today, even just what we showed you in the screenshots, it already is starting to hint at, yep, you guys know the drill. You're going to lose money. Sorry. Tell Attorney General Andrea Campbell that you're not happy. So, with that, I don't know. This series has been great for me. I'm losing my voice a bit, guys. But it's been an eye opener for me. It's been nice to put it into order. I've seen a lot of nice comments to what we've been talking about, and that's mostly Mike on this one, guys. So give Mike the golf clap on that one, I guess. He spent some real time putting that together, and obviously all of us in the know really appreciate it. And I know a lot of people watch on the replay because we do this at an odd time, but I also know that there's a lot of regulars who, when they can, show up in here, and that's we love it, and we will keep seeing you back here. And if, like Mike said, if we need to bring this back up, if this is not, because it's not a dead issue, and how it plays out, we might be revisiting it here soon. Who knows? But yeah, we will continue to do these. And Mike, thank you for these 6 parts. And if anybody missed them all, just go back and watch them. They're all there. So
well, thank you, Steve. It's been a pleasure, and you justify your value to your thousands of followers. And I really appreciate it, and I want everybody to know what a wealth of ideas, creativity, and insight Steve Johnson is in person, working together. So it's been a pleasure.
And all of you guys too. You guys help me so much. I mean, I've gotten to know so many of you, and you know, I mean, it's a lot of times you guys lead me down a road that I heard something about or whatever, but then you give me more direct path. I go down it and I check it out, and you were exactly right. So I mean, you guys are a wealth of the whole. It's a team. It's teamwork, and that's how we're going to end all this.
By the way, and bring a token that is your favorite. Maybe it's a subway token. Maybe it's what was that, skiing?
No, it's for hiking to the top of Mount Bierstadt, 14,065 feet.
Bring your own token, right? Be your own boss. Bring your own token. We're going to do that legislatively. Forward, upward, onward. Thanks, Steve.
Yep.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day, and we'll see you back here next week. Oh, and if you're not, check out the audio podcast. You can find it on Spotify, and there will be others. There's a couple offshoot ones too, but you can find it on Spotify right now. And even if you don't listen on Spotify, go give a 5-star ranking so it moves up the audio podcast a little bit too. Appreciate everything you guys did. Appreciate you, Traveler. Thank you. And
upload your video. Yeah.
Oh, this is where we got those screenshots from. Thank you for those. We used them in the start. If you did not notice.
Thanks, man. Great.
So,
Thanks, man.
Yep. You guys are great, and we'll see you back here next week.